Eric McCoy and Kendre Miller both done for the season with injuries. Kat Terrell of ESPN.com, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Hey, Kat, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Better than all the local teams are doing, or maybe I'm
Well,
maybe I'm
it's a
doing
low
about
bar
as
right now.
maybe I'm doing about as poorly as they are. Let's start with that there with these injuries to McCoy and Miller. Take them one at a time. How did McCoy's injury happen? Do we know that?
I haven't gotten a chance to rewatch the game yet, so I'm not really sure what happened. He had a elbow biceps injury last year that caused him to miss the last game of the season, I believe. Kellen Moore said it wasn't the same injury, so I guess I'll take it on faith that's correct, and it was a different biceps tear. Which, if that's the case, that's just really brutal for McCoy. Just horrible luck. And then Miller only played 2 snaps and got injured, went to the injury tent, walked out of it on his own power and went to the locker room. And, they both just dealt with a lot of bad injury luck in the last 2 seasons.
Which do you feel is more significant for this Saints team?
Oh, I mean, definitely McCoy. You saw how last year when McCoy went down, I thought the offense really took a nosedive. They're already struggling right now. The offense is ranked 24th in total offense and 29th in points, I think. So one of their best players is gone. I just think that's a brutal loss, and it's probably going to reflect in, I would say, results. They've only won one game, but I do think you're going to see how that plays out and reflects on them next week.
How big of a drop off from McCoy to Luke Fortner?
I mean, I think it's a pretty significant one. McCoy was playing pretty well. He's their Pro Bowl center. I think when the Saints traded for Fortner, I don't think Jacksonville fans had a super high opinion of him, but that often happens when a player's traded away, right? The fans of the team that is sending the player away usually scramble to say, well, the player wasn't good anyway.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how he fits in this offense. I think McCoy's, as Moore said, McCoy's communication, just longevity, overall play, just everything, it's really hard to replace.
Kat Terrell's with us. What about, I would assume Devin Neal now becomes the guy who gets the lion's share of the carries in place of Kendre Miller. What's a realistic expectation for how he fits in here?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out. I thought that in the game against the Bears, I don't know if you saw the clip, but he had one block that was just great. He really just threw his whole body into it. I remember at the time thinking, oh, that was a really good play. How he would play as a backup to Alvin Kamara, I don't know, but I'm not saying Miller's injury is a good thing. It's not, and I do feel for him. But if you're going to look on the positive side, I do think it's good for the Saints to get to see all of their rookies and how the future is going to look. And, obviously Kendre is young too, but if you're going to take a positive out of it, it's that you're going to get to see, 22-year-old rookie Devin Neal and what he does. But I do think that Miller was trending positively after having a tough season last year. And so, that's definitely tough for him, especially, with a new coaching staff. It's just bad timing. Definitely a hard one for him.
Kat, I would assume also, they're not going to move forward with just 2 running backs. So what do they do for depth at that position?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this earlier because that position is a tough one where a lot of injuries happen. The Saints got 1 week of having people not injured, and I knew as soon as I talked about it, there was going to be a ton of injuries the next week. Yeah, so obviously I would think Devin Neal would be first up. Velus Jones would get more time. I wouldn't be surprised if they go look for someone else to add to the practice squad. Yeah, I'm not really sure because it's not a position that has a ton of depth on the team, but I mean that's not weird. Most teams only have 3 running backs on the active roster, depending on how you look at fullbacks and things like that. So I would definitely be expecting them in the next few days to add someone else.
Kat
don't know who yet.
ESPN.com, on Twitter at @Kat_Terrell. Make sure you give her a follow. Kat, do you get the sense that there's any appetite toward moving or giving Tyler Shough a shot?
Well, I don't think Moore closed that door today, and I thought it was interesting. He kind of got bombarded with Tyler Shough questions, which is to be expected. And so he gets asked 2 questions about Tyler Shough, and it's more about Rattler. Is Rattler going to be the guy? Does Rattler need to be looking over his shoulders? And he kept not really answering it, just saying there's growth opportunity, yada, yada, yada. And I finally said, so Rattler is still starting this week? And he said yes. But then there was a couple of good follow-ups about, okay, at what point in this season do you think you would need to see Tyler Shough? And Moore, I don't know if he didn't know the can of worms he was opening or he was just being honest. He said it's a week-to-week thing. So that cracked that door open, and I do understand why, because if this team is going to have a high draft pick, right now they're tied for 3rd, I think, or they're in the top 5. If they're going to go into the offseason with a high draft pick, you would assume it's a strong possibility they want to take a look at quarterback. They need to know exactly what they have. So eventually you have to take a look at Tyler Shough, right? I mean, you're 1-6. What do you have to lose?
Yeah. By the way, if I just looked it up, Kat, while we were talking, the Jets at 0-7, and then the Saints among the one-loss teams would be next. The Saints are the 2nd pick, right, and a long way to go, of course, 10 games. But the Saints would be, I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but they would be the lowest among the one-loss teams. It looks like it might be their differential, like the point differential. Might be. Well, no, that can't be it. As I'm looking through this, whatever. Because the Titans are worse. But
in any event, they're top 5 right now.
Whatever. As it is in the standings right now, they would be 2nd behind the Jets. So yes, they're absolutely trending toward a top 5 pick and possibly drafting their starting quarterback in the future, unless they find out what's going on with Tyler Shough. Kat, I can't help but also wonder. I mean, you cover this team and have for a long time, and you're around the players and the coaches, and I can't help but wonder at what point being 1-6 or 1-7 or a long losing streak starts to wear on the team and start to hurt culture or vibe around the building. Do you sense any of that?
Not yet. And maybe in their minds they knew it was going to be a tough year. I mean, the thing is, teams will never admit that, but I think the guys that have been around a long time know, and it doesn't mean they like losing, but it means that they probably kind of know the score. And coming to this season, you look at the outside expectations, just look at the local media poll done by Jeff Duncan every year. Almost every single person picked them to have a losing season and at best win 5 or 6 games. So I think that maybe they understand that, and right now it doesn't feel like everyone's down. But I do think, I mean, you just keep losing week after week, especially games you consider close, and it does take its toll on you. It's tough, but I would guess that the turning point to the frustration is probably going to occur midway through the season, and we're getting close to that because they have the schedule to get lighter after the beginning of the season and how hard that was, but they've got some tough ones coming up, starting with the Bucs this week.
There is a little bit of Miami and the Jets and the Panthers on there as well, but look,
none of them are given. No
doubt. Look, we've seen the Panthers win some impressive games. Same with Atlanta. Now, division, there's always the division's always squirrely and quirky because you know each other so well, and there's always those possibilities. But yes, I mean, it's Tampa at the Rams, at Carolina before your bye, and then you're home against Atlanta. So, yeah, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. I don't know if you've given any thought to this at all, and it's okay if you haven't. Have you given a thought yet to what the ceiling and what the floor is for this team now, sitting at 1-6 with 10 games to go?
Record-wise?
Yeah.
I haven't reassessed my record, but I did pick them to win 5 games at the beginning of the season, and I have had thoughts if that is too high. They're just not they can't be the team that makes mistakes and still wins games. And against the Bears, you saw it. They have issues all over the field. So even against these bad teams that they might be playing later in the season, I think that, they're just not playing like a team that's going to close out these games. So what games do they win? I don't know. I do think with divisional games, like you said, they can often go either way. That's just the nature of it. So they'll probably pick up a couple there, but I don't know. I think it's going to be tough to find wins overall in the second half of the season. But I guess if you're looking at positives, I think there's a lot of, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of rookies that have been getting playing time. And, you can kind of look at some of those rookies and say, okay, maybe there's hope for the future with some of these guys.
I'm not interested in positives, Kat. I just want to know. It's brutal right now.
But the record explanation wasn't very positive.
No.
I said 5 games, and now I'm saying that might have been too positive to start the season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to think about ceiling and floors because I don't do math well. I went to LSU math. Come on, we didn't learn math there.
You and I were both Manship alums, and math and science for me are brutal. Like, you want me to diagram a sentence, I'm your guy.
Exactly.
You want me to do long division, I'm screwed. So,
exactly.
But by the way,
calculator.
Of the 3, I would say, most winnable games remaining, Miami, the Jets, and the Titans, 2 of those 3 are on the road. And the Saints have played like poo-poo on the road. So I picked them. I picked 5-11 at the start of this, or 5-12, excuse me, math, at the start of the season, like you did. And I think I overshot it, quite honestly.
Okay, but you mentioned the Titans is a winnable game, and I'm never the person that says a team should try to lose games, but that's in week 17. So when these 2 bad teams play each other into the season with potential draft picks on the line, do we look at 2 teams that are, fighting, like playing so just well enough so that they lose, like the Bengals and I think it was the Dolphins years ago when Burrow was on the line that year. Yeah, I was following that in real time. It was like, well, these teams are winning, and this game is franchise changing.
Look, it was, and
that one could be.
The next year, you remember you had Jacksonville and the Jets when Trevor Lawrence was the presumed number 1 overall pick, and the Jets slipped up and won a game over Jacksonville. Jacksonville got the number 1 pick, and the Jets ended up with Zach Wilson. So yes, week 17, high stakes when it comes to the bowels of the NFL. She's Kat Terrell, ESPN.com. Get her at @Kat_Terrell. Give her a follow there on Twitter. We appreciate it, Kat. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Matt, and I'll see you in a few weeks for the Manship School panel.
How about that? We can't do math, but they keep inviting us back to talk to people, to these blossoming young minds about their futures in the media business and why they should run the other way. That's what we'll tell them.
Exactly. I would never tell them that.
I don't either. Thanks, Kat. We'll see you.